gender-based violence requires a multi-pronged solution. It's not easy to solve.
Tonight, the feds and Nunavut team up to tackle domestic abuse.
The important change is that this isn't about treatment facilities that are being delivered by white people.
An addictions treatment center in northern Quebec gets a new home.
Imagery on the shirt is kind of like imagery that you would see from coast to coast to coast.
And an artist gives the shirt off his back for Truth and Reconciliation Day. Good evening, I'm Dennis Ward. Welcome to APTN National News. The federal government this week injected nearly $17 million into the Nunavut government's efforts to prevent gender-based violence. Our Trevor Wright reports from Iqaluit.
Canada's Minister of Women, Marcy Ian, was in Nunavut to announce $16.4 million as part of Ottawa's National Action Plan to end gender-based violence in the territory. An additional $500,000 contribution is being made to bolster Nunavut's crisis hotlines. According to territorial officials, the rate of domestic violence against women in Nunavut is far too high.
Nunavut Inuit are the victims of violent crime at a rate of 12 out of 13 times higher than women in other jurisdictions in Canada.
The rollout of the funding will be taking place over 4 years, with Nunavut receiving $4 million a year to expand shelters, awareness campaigns, educational workshops, and prevention programs.
As gender-based violence requires a multi-pronged solution. It's not easy to solve. A solution that takes into account the lived experiences of Indigenous women and girls.
The crisis hotline will likely be used to strengthen existing services in the territory.
The Department of Health will be working with existing partners in the territory, and the details are still being finalized, but it's likely that it will be an enhancement to already existing services.
Trevor Wright, APTN National News, Iqaluit.
An addictions recovery center in northern Quebec has a brand new facility where Inuit can seek help for substance abuse and bring their families along with them. Amelia Fournier has that story.
We're very connected to the land, Mother Nature. It brings us a lot of peace. It's basically natural therapy to us.
George Haukai has been through his own healing journey, having dealt with his past alcoholism by getting in touch with his Inuit culture.
I didn't take much counseling when I was going through problems, and a lot of my therapy was my alone time on the land, my time traveling, my time dog sledding, my time just hunting in general. It made me reflect on life a lot.
For years, Haukai has been giving the guests at Iswarsavik Regional Recovery Center the same treatment in Kuujjuaq, an Inuit town in northern Quebec.
I find them much calmer, in a sense, when they're out with us, where versus being inside a building, they're not at ease. When they're going out on trips, like I said, they get to reflect on themselves.
He was instrumental in the work to build a brand new Iswarsavik. Established in 1994, Iswarsavik was originally a community-based center for adult Inuit struggling with addictions with a 9-bed capacity. Now, the new center holds up to 32 people, including family members, with added services like childcare, well-stocked art rooms, and private rooms for families. At the official reopening on September 20th, people shared their hopes that the center would help address the high addiction rates in Nunavik.
We've all been touched by this one way or another. I'm not immune from it.
Iswarsavik also went from 20 staff members to 70. 60% of them are Inuit.
But at the end of the cycle, it's really like, don't go back home kind of feeling. Like it's very, we really connect to each other. We start growing together.
Executive Director Itwa Snowball says Iswarsavik offers community care.
We used to help each other and help, if there was a problem within the family or within the community, they would help together and work on it together. This is something that when you're in Quebec Civic, this is the feeling that you get.
The new program was tested out on a pilot group this past spring. Allison Meshner, the youth coordinator, says the program gave some parents the chance to spend time with their children.
They weren't always together all the time, so when they came into our program, it was reconnecting them just through activities and family sessions and stuff like that.
Meshner says that as a mother, she hates being away from her children for even a work day, let alone 8 weeks, the duration of Histoire Civic's program.
Like the colonial cycle, that was, our children were being taken away. Like, I can imagine how it must feel for our past guests that came here without their children, were like feeling that void.
But with a bigger center comes a bigger budget. Snowball says they're still hoping for more long-term funds from all levels of government.
Just having reoccurring funds that we can provide for operational funds, and not having to look elsewhere. This is a dream. This is something that we're going to work towards. And when I do meet with ministers, that's what I tell them, that that's what we need.
At the reopening ceremony, the Quebec government announced $9.3 million over the next 3 years for Histoire Civic's operational funds.
We heard the request for proper funding for the next 3 years. So I don't want to talk about numbers. I just want to make sure that you don't have to worry about this. Worry about people, not the numbers. We'll be there.
The federal government has contributed $29 million to the construction of the new centre and helps fund the Nunavik Regional Board of Health. Indigenous Services of Canada Minister Patty Haidu says they're working on expanding funding for programs like Histoire Civic.
The important change is that this isn't about treatment facilities that are being delivered by white people, designed by white people, often without really any understanding of the trauma that people have lived through. This is by Inuit, for Inuit, with the sustainable funding that they need.
Ultimately, Snowball wants to make sure his people know they have a place to heal.
Well, this is something that, I recommend people to look into and to make sure that, we do have facilities to help our people within Nunavik for beneficiaries, and I encourage them to reach out and join us.
Amelia Fournier, APTN National News, Kuujjuaq, Quebec.
Thanks, Amelia. Great concept there, keeping the families together. Well, it's a big day tomorrow, the 3rd National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And APTN News will have a lot of special coverage. Here's Daryl with more.
Hey everyone, Daryl Stranger here. I am on the ground in Ottawa on Parliament Hill. Now, as you can see behind me, final preparations are being made for tomorrow's live special event, Remembering the Children. Now, tomorrow everything gets started at 12:30 p.m. with a pre-show, and that's going to be on APTN and aptnnews.ca. You can catch all of that. And then immediately following our pre-show, we're going to have the live special event, Remembering the Children. And following that, we are going to have a post-show as well. So we're going to have a pre-show, the live special event, and then a post-show. And that all starts tomorrow at 12:30, and you can catch everything on APTN and aptnnews.ca. And there's going to be special guest performances. We're going to have a few guest speakers throughout the day, so make sure you tune in tomorrow.
Welcome back to Nova Scotia now, where over 500 students placed orange flags in the shape of a heart, creating a symbol of healing. Angel Moore was there when it happened on Friday at the site of the former Shubenacadie residential school.
Students of all ages from regional schools joined those from the Shubenacadie Mi'kmaq Nations, Ilnu, Seabook, Gina, Mowogom School collecting orange flags. Deanne Sack, a band counselor of the Shubenacadie Nation, says,
Today we're changing the narrative. This orange heart is love. It is love, love for our people, love for our language, love for our ceremonies, love for our culture. love. And we're teaching the littles about love.
These littles include these grade 3 students of the Sipekne'katik Nation.
For the people who went to the residential school. Because the people that went to the residential school, and some didn't make it and some did.
With the flags in hand, the students make their way up this hillside, where the Sipekne'katik Residential School was once located at the top of the hill. It was managed by the Catholic Church from 1930 till 1967, where thousands of Mi'kmaq and Wolastoqiyik children were forced to attend. The school building was destroyed by fire in 1986. SAC says the site is a daily reminder to community members.
The impact of residential schools go on and on and on. It's the intergenerational trauma that continues to this day, and it shows up in different forms of societal issues that our people are plagued with.
It's now a designated historic site, a place of ceremony to help heal and educate youth, which now has a large orange heart filled with the students' flags. Grade 12 student Sydney Mason of the Sipekne'katik Nation says today is a step towards healing, but more needs to be done.
The amount of change is wonderful, but it still isn't done, and I hope to be here and see more change next year.
Francis Paul of the Sipekne'katik Nation, a survivor, says the day is about education.
Today was a lovely turnout with all these beautiful students and them learning about what happened up here, and it was just beautiful to see all these kids being here. I loved it.
The event was 2 years in the planning, SAC says.
It was truly remarkable, but you know, this was a long time in planning. We sit the Chief and Council, our Education Department, Equity in Action, where we have a team of people, like having the students bust in from other schools. Holy smokes, that was amazing. That's educational in itself, right?
At the end of the day, over 1,500 flags were placed inside the heart. The heart will remain on display until after Truth and Reconciliation Day. Angel Moore, APTN National News, Sipekne'katik, Nova Scotia.
Kimberly Murray is the special interlocutor on missing children and unmarked burials, and she wants to see more action from the government to advance reconciliation. Here's Amelia Fournier with more.
Part of my position is to speak with Indigenous communities and survivors of Indian residential schools.
Kimberly Murray, the special interlocutor on missing children and unmarked burials, says that reconciliation is happening on a smaller scale.
Reconciliation is happening more on the ground in small communities with their local governments, their local municipalities, with their neighbors, where it's not happening at the level it needs to happen with the federal government or the provincial governments. So the closer you are to the First Nation, in some cases the reconciliation has been better.
When it comes to larger issues, as she detailed in her interim report, a lot of work has yet to be done. Murray says an oversight body should be established to make sure the recommendations from Indigenous advisors are being respected, like ensuring public awareness of residential schools.
During the Truth and Reconciliation process, many of the provinces and territories started to implement curriculum on Indian residential schools. And then we see changes in government. And then we saw the curriculum being pulled back. And now we see a rise in denialism.
Outlets like the New York Post and right-wing website True North News have published articles denying the experiences of residential school survivors, while many others have taken to social media.
Studies have shown, academics have said, the last step of genocide is to deny it happened. And our government, by changing curriculum and canceling curriculum, is feeding into that last step of genocide.
Murray also says that many records and archives remain under wraps.
When I talk about churches and government need to step up and address the denialism, they hold the evidence. We know it exists. They need to step up.
Murray's mandate is set to end in June 2024, and she hopes her work continues beyond that date. Amelia Fournier, APTN National News, Montreal.
An Ojibwe Two-Spirit artist has partnered with a major retail chain to bring orange shirts across Canada. Patrick Hunter is from Red Lake, Ontario, and has designed a shirt for Orange Shirt Day, now known as the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. Partnering with Giant Tiger and Inspire, the shirts sell for $12 each, with 100% of the proceeds donated to Inspire in support of the Learning from the Past Fund. The fund provides bursaries to Indigenous post-secondary students pursuing an education in Indigenous studies and languages.
The imagery on the shirt is kind of like imagery that you would see from coast to coast to coast, like any kind of landscape that you would see, like mountains, there would be canoes, northern lights, stuff like that. Is all kind of in the shirt, and I just kind of felt like if a lot of students, a lot of youth are not from huge communities, and having something that kind of they could think about when they saw from their home would kind of welcome them or make them feel like a little bit less nervous about being away from home.
When we had the opportunity to talk with Inspire about how to lean in and be part of the conversation around truth and reconciliation for our 265 stores, our franchisees, our team members, but also for the communities that we serve, this partnership really came from that conversation. And we are so honored to partner with Inspire and Patrick on this iconic design.
Nice looking design. A 24-hour youth drop-in center in central Winnipeg has removed the large cross over its door in the spirit of reconciliation. Brook House has been a safe haven for children and youth for the past 47 years. It was started by Sister Geraldine McNamara, a Catholic nun. Sister Mac, as she was called, acquired the abandoned church and converted it to a drop-in center where kids can eat, sleep, and hang out in a safe place 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. The cross was carefully removed this morning. It will be replaced by an art project created by the children and youth. It's expected to be unveiled next spring. An event in Vancouver brought out some well-known performers in the name of truth and reconciliation. That story and more coming up after the break. Welcome back. Time now for our photo of the day. And this photo comes from Glenn Wheeler, looking westward from the York Harbor along the coast of Newfoundland. Thanks for sharing, Glenn. If you're out there this weekend, take some pictures and send them to share at aptn.ca for next week's photos of the day. Now let's take a look at tomorrow's weather forecast. Starting on the East Coast, 20 in Halifax, 19 in Charlottetown, 17 in Kuujjuaq, cloudy, and 14 for Nain, 23 in Montreal, sun's out, and 21 in Chibougamau. Showers and 22 in Sault Ste. Marie, partly cloudy, and 22 in North Bay. Rain and 19 in Thunder Bay, 20 for Sioux Lookout. In northern Manitoba, sunny and 8 in Churchill, cloudy, and 17 for Norway House. 23 in Winnipeg and Brandon, showers, and 21 in Dauphin. 18 in Regina, cloudy, and 15 in North Battleford. 12 with cloud in Meadow Lake, showers, and 12 in La Ronge. In northern Alberta, showers, and 11 for High Level and Grand Prairie. 11 with cloud in Edmonton, rain, and 10 in Lethbridge. Sunny and 16 for Vancouver, 17 under the sun in Victoria. Showers and 13 in Prince George, 14 in Smithers. 4 in Old Crow, chance of snow, and 6 in Whitehorse. Cloudy and 6 for Yellowknife, cloudy and 6 for Norman Wells. 0 with snow in Sax Harbor, 7 in Pawlatuck. 6 in Chesterfield, cloudy, and 5 in Arviette. -4 in Resolute, +1 in Arctic Bay. Artists and performers were featured at an event held in Vancouver honoring National Truth and Reconciliation Day. APTN's Tina House was there and has this story.
It
was a full house as the WYCA hosted an event called Rhythms of Resilience. It's all about honoring those that survived residential school and those that never made it home.
We know many nations are undertaking the important and painful work and offer our continued support and allyship. We believe in you and stand with you while urging those groups who have records to do the right thing and provide access to those records. There can be no reconciliation without truth.
Artist Teresa Walker was commissioned to create this cradleboard art piece to honor the children, and those in attendance were able to write messages to the children.
Well, we wanted to have something that people can express their condolences, or just send a message to our survivors.
Well-known actress, screenwriter, and performer Renee Morisseau and her drum group called My Girl paid a special tribute to the children who died at residential schools.
That story hasn't been finished. The song that we're going to share with you is in response to that Asheni, term of endearment for those children. Asheni and Cree, from the Swampy Cree up in Attawapiskat. Rita was the one that shared this with me. This means angel. Asheni, 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 Hana, hey oh. Asheni, 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 Hana, hey oh. Asheni, 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 Hana, hey oh. Hey ya no, ah hey ya hey ya no, ah hey ya hey ya no, ah hey ya ho. Hey ya no, ah hey ya hey ya no, ah hey ya hey ya no, ah hey ya ho.
Tonight was also an opportunity to honor murdered and missing Indigenous women and girls with JB, the First Lady, and her dancers.
Genocide in slow-mo. I see justice on Trudeau. White paper on 2.0.
Next up was Juno Award winner Mohawk bluesman Murray Porter singing his original song, Is Sorry Enough.
We took away our children, stole our mother's love. You laid waste to our tradition. Where is sorry enough?
Newly elected BC MLA Joan Phillips says the event was not only a time to mourn the atrocities from residential school, but a chance to continue to heal together.
We were reminded by Murray Porter that it's going to take all of us to make this right.
Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Looks like a touching event. Well, that is your APTN National News for this Friday. Remember to join us back here tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time for our live coverage ahead of the commemoration in Ottawa for the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. And following the 90-minute Remembering the Children event in Ottawa, we'll be back here again live. We'll have special guests here in Winnipeg and in Ottawa. We'll also have a special 1-hour live newscast tomorrow night, taking a look at events across the country to mark the National Day for Truth and Reconciliation. It all gets started here tomorrow, 12:30 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm Dennis Ward. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you back here tomorrow afternoon.